Does God exist? The question behind all answers. Before anything existed, there was no place to stand, no direction to face, no distance to measure. There was no time to wait in, no moment passing into another, no before and no after. There was no matter to shape, no energy to release, no particles colliding in darkness. There were no laws, because laws require something to govern. And yet, existence happened, not slowly, not through trial and error, not by rehearsal. Existence arrived complete. This alone should stop us, because nothing incomplete explains itself, and nothing complete arrives without reason. If there was once nothing, then nothing should still be all there is. Nothing has no properties, no potential, no power to become something. Nothing does nothing. And yet, something exists. That single fact already tells us existence is not self-caused. If existence were automatic, it would not surprise us. But it does. Because everything that exists is contingent. It did not have to exist. It could have been otherwise. And anything that could have been otherwise demands explanation. So the question is not cultural. It is not emotional. It is not inherited. It is unavoidable. Why does anything exist at all? Some respond by saying, existence just is. But that is not an explanation. It is the end of curiosity. We do not accept that answer anywhere else. If a structure stands where none stood before, we ask how. If information appears where none existed, we ask why. If a law governs behavior, we ask who authored it. Only when existence itself is questioned do some suddenly abandon reason. But reason does not switch off just because the question is large. Every effect we know points beyond itself. Sound implies a source. Movement implies force. Order implies arrangement. And existence is the greatest effect of all. To deny that is not skepticism. It is selective blindness. People often ask, if there is a creator, who created the creator? But this question misunderstands what is being discussed. It assumes the ultimate explanation is just another item inside reality. Just larger, just older, just stronger. But the ultimate explanation cannot be part of the system that requires explanation. Everything we observe shares three features. It begins, it changes, it depends. Anything that begins is not necessary. Anything that changes is not absolute. Anything that depends is not self-sufficient. An ultimate explanation cannot have these features, because if it did, it would need explanation too. That would explain nothing. So reason requires something else. Not something greater, but something different. Something that never began, never changed, never depended. Not because we imagine it, but because without it, nothing else stands. This is not belief. This is logic completing its work. An infinite chain of dependent explanations does not solve the problem. It delays it. If every cause depends on a prior cause, and that cause depends on another and another and another, then nothing is ever explained. At some point, explanation must stop, not in ignorance, not in mystery, but in something that simply must exist. This is what necessity means. Now consider this necessary existence. It cannot be physical, because physical things are made of parts. Parts imply assembly. Assembly implies dependency. Anything assembled could have been assembled differently. Anything composed can be decomposed. The ultimate explanation cannot be breakable. It cannot be extended. It cannot be measured. It cannot be divided. It cannot occupy space, because space itself began. It cannot exist within time, because time had a beginning. So this necessary existence must be timeless, spaceless, and non-material. Already we have moved far beyond imagination, but logic has not strained. Now consider the universe itself. It is not merely present, it is ordered. The laws governing it are precise to a degree that defies randomness. If gravity was slightly stronger, stars would collapse too quickly. If slightly weaker, they would never form. If fundamental constants changed by minuscule amounts, chemistry would fail. Atoms would not bond. Life would be impossible. This is not coincidence repeated endlessly. This is fine calibration, and calibration is not explained by chance. Chance explains chaos, not code. Chance scatters. It does not synchronize. Some respond by proposing many universes, but even if that were true, the question is not answered. A mechanism capable of producing universes would still require explanation. You cannot escape the need for explanation by multiplying the effects. Infinity does not eliminate dependency. Now consider life. Life is not just complex matter. It is matter arranged by instruction. Information is not energy. It is not substance. Information is meaning, and meaning is not physical. A book does not write itself because paper exists. Information always traces back to mind. Now consider consciousness. You are not merely reacting, you are aware that you are aware. Atoms do not reflect. Neurons do not ask why they exist, yet you do. You think about truth. You consider right and wrong. You evaluate purpose. These are not survival requirements. Survival does not require truth. It requires reaction. Yet humans seek meaning even when it costs them survival. This reveals something important. If reality were blind and accidental, then reason itself would be accidental. Thoughts would be chemical noise. Logic would be illusion. Truth would be meaningless. And yet we trust reason, even to deny meaning. That trust only makes sense if reason comes from intention. Now consider morality. Across cultures and eras, humans recognize certain values. Justice matters. Cruelty is wrong. Truth has worth. Life has value. These are not inventions. They are recognized. People do not say, injustice displeases me. They say, injustice should not exist. That should is not material. Obligation does not arise from atoms. Obligation requires authority. Authority beyond human agreement. Now consider suffering. Pain is real, loss is real, death is real, but suffering does not disprove meaning, it assumes it. You only call something unjust if you believe justice exists. If existence were accidental, suffering would be neither wrong nor right, just chemistry. Yet humans protest suffering, mourn loss, hope beyond death, because something within us knows this is not the whole story. Now consider unity. If the necessary existence were many, there would have to be differences. Differences require limitation. Limitation contradicts necessity. So the ultimate source must be one, not one among others, one without equal, independent, self-sufficient. Creation adds nothing to it, which means creation is deliberate, not out of need, but out of will, and will implies purpose. Now consider humanity. You alone among known beings can recognize meaning. You can choose against instinct. You can act morally at cost. This is not accidental placement. You were not designed merely to consume and decay. You were given awareness to recognize responsibility. Recognition implies accountability. If accountability exists, guidance must exist. Responsibility without guidance would be injustice. So truth cannot be silent. It must be accessible, not forced, not overwhelming, but clear enough for those willing to reflect. This explains why humans throughout history sense accountability beyond death, why justice feels incomplete here, why final reckoning resonates deeply. Meaning without completion is cruelty. Purpose without consequence is mockery. The ultimate source is not distant, not because it occupies space, but because nothing escapes its knowledge, nothing is hidden, nothing is ignored. Yet it remains independent, close without being contained, aware without being altered. This is not mythology. This is where reason arrives when it is allowed to finish. Not a body, not a force, not an abstraction. The necessary existence, the one without equal, the source of law, meaning, and being. You do not reach this by tradition. You reach it when every alternative fails and existence still stands. You were never meant to be accidental. You were meant to recognize